Welcome to the Cache Valley in Logan, Utah for Saturday night Mountain West Conference basketball. Outside of fourth-ranked San Diego State, Colorado State, the hottest thing going in the conference to date. Rams visit Utah State, having won 5 straight. San Diego State still unbeaten, comfortably in first place with a game at UNLV tomorrow, but things starting to tighten up just a little bit in that battle for second place as we get deeper into the month of January. The I Believe That We Will Win chant has already been completed, about ready to tip from Logan, Utah, and you knew that Sam Merrill was not going to let Utah State lose back-to-back games after what happened a week ago at Boise State.
I mean, how could you? Sam Merrill, he's always steady and he's always sensational. Last year's Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, he's battled some ankle injuries, but he's gone throughout, shooting 38% from the three. Not just a great shooter, though. He gets to the hole, he drives it, he makes plays for his teammates. He's got about a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And this is a guy that when they had about a week off, they had to bye a week or so ago, he got healthy, and his health has benefited the Aggies.
Really good crowd inside the Spectrum right now. We're about ready to tip. 15-6 Utah State hosting 14-7 Colorado State. The Rams looking to win a 6th consecutive game. They're looking to close the evening in 3rd place in the conference. Steve Quist, Richie Schuler with you here. The D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. And Nimi Keita about ready to jump against Nico Carvacho. That should be a fun matchup here. The 2 number 5s and also the 2 forwards, right? Roddy against Bean.
It's 2 great matchups right there. You're right. It's all interior play you're talking about. The 4s and the 5s guarding each other down inside.
Utah State in white, they have the opening possession. They're 4-4 in the conference. This is an important one to protect your home turf. Merrill defended by Thistlewood, down to Bean in the low post against Roddy like we talked about, and it's Roddy who wins the initial battle.
Well, you're going to see Utah State go inside a lot. They have more size than Colorado State. Colorado State, though, they have the speed up and down the floor, and that could cause problems for Utah State.
Thistlewood, a 3. Remember, they made 19 threes earlier this month against New Mexico at home, so oftentimes that shot is falling. Speaking of threes, Miller misses. And it'll be Colorado State basketball.
In Colorado State, you have a team that offensively, they're going to try to push the ball in transition as best they can. They're also going to try to get the ball into the paint with dribble penetration. But this Colorado State team is a 36% three-point shooting team, but shooting 38% in conference play. That has to be something that makes Utah State a little bit nervous.
Haven't lost since January the 1st against Nevada. 7-1 in their last 8 games. Carvacho inside. Terrific assist, Isaiah Stevens.
And Carvacho did it by shot faking on Nemius Keita. Nemi Keita went for the shot fake, and then he gets himself a nice little jump shot. Fundamentally sound basketball down inside for Colorado State.
And there's Merrill into Keita. Quickly a second defender came, so they work it around the perimeter. Step back jumper by Merrill is good. Averaging 17.5 points per game, the senior from Bountiful, Utah, which is just south of Logan.
His versatility is incredible. He is not uber quick. He's not uber fast, but man, he is fundamentally sound. You don't know if he's going to drive it or shoot it.
Here's that battle we were talking about at the 5. Help side defender comes in Bean. Carvacho can't get it to go down.
Look for Utah State to try to go inside out.
Keita, the handoff, sets the screen, and Merrill buries the triple.
Or they'll just keep it outside with their big man and just hand it off to Sam Merrill for an open 3-point shot.
He has all 6 for the Aggies in the early going. Here's Stevens from the elbow. It's short and rebounded by Bean. He's 2nd in the conference in rebounds behind Nico Carvacho.
They're going to keep looking for the hot hand.
They do it again. The handoff from Keita. Merrill wanted a foul. It's out of bounds. It'll be Ram basketball.
See, when you have a player like Nemi Keita who can post up down inside, He can take up space on both ends of the floor, clog up the paint. He's also a guy that takes up some space on the three-point line. You've seen the last couple of possessions. They get the ball to Cade at the top of the three, and then they hand it off to Sam Merrill for a shot. Because he takes up so much space, it's harder for Merrill's defender to get around him, and he gets open looks as a result.
Cross-court pass. Here's Stevens. He's been so good over the last 8 games. They've won 5 straight. They've won 7 of their last 8 as Colorado State. Rising up and delivering a 3 is Kendall Moore, the sophomore from Danville, Illinois.
You see, both these teams are so good at attracting attention defensively when they have the ball inside the post, but then kick out for open threes. Roddy's really good at that. Carvaccio's good at that. And Keita on Utah State's side's really good at that.
Merrill working hard to find shots as Kendall Moore picks him up on the defensive end. Keita against Carvaccio. Tried to put it on the floor, knocked it away, and it's a steal for Colorado State. Carvaccio against Keita. Look at Keita talking to him, huh?
A little bit of a personal battle there, I think.
Moore misses. Thistlewood tried to keep it alive on the offensive glass.
When they played here a year ago, it was all the talk about Carvaccio being the #1 rebounder in Mountain West history. Keita, the freshman, didn't like that. He out-rebounded Carvaccio on this home floor.
Wow, what a drop step by Keita, and he delivers in the lane. First points of the game for anyone not named Merrill for Utah State. Here's Roddy against Beam. I've already seen this matchup on the other end. Stevens left open, wing right. Wow, these shots have got to go down for Colorado State or it's going to be a long evening. Miller misses. Carvaccio's got another board.
Well, we've seen Utah State's tactic here.
Oh, what a great drive there by Kendall Moore. He scores. We were told earlier in the shoot-around that penetration by Colorado State was really effective against Utah State last year.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Tactic-wise, Utah State did a good job of stopping that up until then. But the other tactic is 3 times the ball's gone in the post on the other end of the floor, and Utah State's elected to trap inside.
Miller, that's spot on. Right in front of the Rams bench. Already 3 threes in the game for Utah State.
Go inside to Roddy.
And Bean with a steal. Boy, the other night against Air Force, he led them in points, in rebounds, in steals, and assists, Justin Bean. And that foul will take us to a break. Sam Merrill, partner, red hot to start things.
Doesn't surprise me. Last year's Player of the Year. He does it with the step-back three-pointer. He also did it off a handoff from Keita as well. Sam Merrill on fire already here in the first half.
You gotta hold serve here at home. Already Sam Merrill has knocked down a couple of threes. Utah State as a team has 3 threes, and Justin Bean already 4 of the 5 rebounds for the Aggies. Welcome to those of you who just watched UCF and Wichita State. We're in chilly Logan, Utah for Mountain West Conference basketball featuring Utah State and Colorado State, who's won 5 straight. Steve Quiz, Richie Schuler with you, and early on, threes are falling for Utah State. Sam Merrill, the reigning Conference Player of the Year, has 2 of them. Brock Miller has the other, and it's a game that Utah State desperately needs. They started the season in the top 25. They're sitting there at the net 73 today.
You know, they had a little bit of a lull in play. They lost 3 games in a row, got back on track against Nevada, blew a large lead at Boise State. Now they're coming off a win. This Colorado State team has come in here with a lot of speed. They're pushing it in transition, and they're trying everything they can to get in the paint, as you see. A big challenge for Utah State.
Turnover on Deshaun Thomas, the freshman from Phoenix, Arizona. Hillcrest Prep just put into the ball game. So Colorado State's won 5 straight. They've won 7 of their last 8, and 2 freshmen, Isaiah Stevens and David Roddy, have been the reason for the resurgence.
You gotta love it. Isaiah Stevens, the point guard, the toughest position to play in basketball, and he's doing very well as a freshman. About 15 a game in conference play to go along with 4.5 assists. And there you are, David Roddy guarding the ball, number 21. gets a deflection, so physical down inside.
But Bean, he's Mr. Everything, comes up with the deflection and scores the bucket. He was so good the other night in their win over Air Force, that bounce back after what happened a week ago at Boise State. Led the Aggies in points, boards, assists, and steals. Here is Roddy inside looking for his first points of the game, and that's going to fall.
Well, in the opening 5-6 minutes, every time Colorado State posted up with their back to the basket, Utah State elected to double team. Came out of this timeout here, and they just kind of dug in, faked like they were going to go trap.
Burrito, a great feed on the baseline for a cutting Merrill in the paint.
Boy, they move well off the ball, don't they?
They do.
One thing Utah State is always so good at. Somebody is moving, if not 2 or 3 players, when the ball is not in their hands.
6-point advantage for the Aggies on their home floor. This is Hiron Edwards. He's a redshirt senior, a JUCO transfer from East Chicago, Indiana, now to Roddy, the freshman. They make an extra pass. Martin for 3. They have really struggled from beyond the arc. They're 1 for 5 to start. This was a team earlier this month, hit 19 threes against New Mexico at home. Burrito working against the freshman Stevens. The pick comes high from Trevin Dorius, and another turnover for Utah State. In transition, here comes Edwards, and he scores the bucket.
Way to make your defense become your offense. That's the freshman Dorius getting caught with a jump pass, and Edwards takes advantage of it, going from coast to coast for 2.
Boy, you hate those jump passes, don't you, as a former head coach?
I hate them. Yes.
You're not the only analyst I've sat next to that has hated them. They all hate them.
Yes.
Great pass by Bean out of the double team, but Miller was unable to finish. Boy, Colorado State, they're a lot faster than I remember them being last year.
Well, they centered their team around Nico Carvacho in years past at 6'11". Now, he's still an excellent player. The Mountain West all-time leading rebounder. Out of the game right now, but they've brought in some more athletic, younger players that can move up and down the floor so well.
There's Thomas, the freshman, misses his jumper. Each side's going to sub in 3 players you see at the top of your screen when play is dead.
Throughout the course of this game, take a look at number 34 in the white Utah State, guarded by the freshman David Roddy, number 21. Bean versus Roddy. 2 of the better 4 men in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, Martin's on him now, and Martin disrupted the Diego Brito shot, but he got it back and scores it. Colorado State winners of 5 straight, 7 of their last 8, 7-1 since a loss to Colorado on December the 13th. Their last loss was on January the 1st against Nevada, and a foul called by Chris Rastatter in front of us. And that will bring us to a break here in Logan, Utah. Utah State with a 6-point advantage. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball, presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Energy on the go. And in part by Crave. Respect the animal inside with Crave's high-protein recipes to satisfy their nature. Back to Logan, Utah, alongside Richie Schuler. I'm Steve Quist. A 6-point advantage here in the early going for Utah State. It is so important for them to hold serve at home. They're 4-4 in conference play, and Sam Merrill just, this team needs someone to step up, and he's already scored 8 of their first 17.
3 or 4 from the field. He's got a pair of 3-pointers. One was a step back, one was a handoff from Cada. The thing I like the most about Utah State, they have 5 assists already. Playing as a team, they move the ball so well, and I always talk about how their players move so well off the basketball. That leads to more assists for them.
Well, Utah State beat Air Force 72-47 on Tuesday night here in Logan, but they are struggling in the month of January. They are 2-4, and need we remind everyone what happened last Saturday night in Boise. They blew an 18-point lead with 3:37 to go when Ray J. Dennis scored all 19 of his points in the final 3:36 for Boise State. Alfonso Anderson splits a double team with a JUCO transfer, scores the bucket.
And that's big for Utah State. And he is a 4-man that, when he is scoring well, this Utah State team is really difficult to defend. A guy that was on the All-Jamaican Classic team, averaging 21 points a game there. He can really put the ball in the hole.
Martin on the penetration comes up short. Before we had our national audience, we talked about that the penetration of Colorado State really affected Utah State in the 2 games they played last year. And there's a blocking foul. And they're going to get this one against John Tonje. He's a freshman from Omaha, Nebraska. They'll send Abel Porter to the free throw line for 2.
Utah State is in the top 5 in both free throws attempted nationally and free throws made. They get to the foul line. And one reason why they have become such an excellent free throw shooting team, Nimi Keita, who missed maybe the first, 8, 9, 10 games with the injury. But he was about 56% from free throw a year ago. This year he's at 72%. So he has made the most of being out with that knee injury and has really turned it on from a shooting perspective, even though he's a 7-foot big man.
Aggies now enjoying their biggest lead of the game, but there are some folks here in Logan, Utah cringing when we say that. They were up by 21, as many as 21 a week ago, and couldn't close it out.
You know, I worked that game. And that was something I've never seen before. Now, Utah State, the previous 3 games, they've led every second except for that 3:37 at Boise State.
Yep.
And it was just insane to be up by so many points and to lose that. Ray J. Dennis from Boise State started hitting 3-point shots and getting to the basket. You talked about all the 19 points he scored in end of regulation and overtime. What a terrific freshman point guard he is as well.
Porter got the foul. That'd be his first. Here's Carvacho, Martin. They walled off the penetration good there, and they forced Moore to fire and misfire from 3. They defend much better than they did a year ago. Probably much better than they did in November and December. Alfonso steps into the D2 and hits it. 6-0 run now for Utah State. They've got their biggest lead of the game. They're up 13. That'll take us to a 30-second timeout. We're back to Logan, Utah right after this. Fans here inside the Spectrum in Logan liking what they're seeing now. They're homestanding Utah State Aggies on an 8-0 run. They've made 6 of their last 8 field goals, and defensively they've held Colorado State without a bucket now for 3 minutes. Held them without a point for 3 minutes.
Colorado State's not shooting at their 38% right now from behind the arc, but I tell you, Utah State's doing a good job until then, really doing a good job keeping them outside the paint, not letting them touch any of it. And they're getting a lot of post touches, but they're having to pass out of it, and they're not making threes out of them.
Carvacho had an early bucket, nothing since, and a whistle as the ball went on the left wing. And they get Diego Brito. That'll be his first, the senior from Portugal. I love watching Keita. He really enjoys this defensive battle against Carvacho.
That's it. I think he takes it personal. He wants to be the best big man in the league. Everybody's been talking about Carvacho for years.
Another missed 3. They're 1 for 7 to start things on the range. Far cry from earlier this month, those 19 threes that went down against New Mexico State in only 28 attempts, mind you.
That was incredible. The first half, they were 11 of 16.
Bairstow on the drive. He's fouled.
You see Sean Bairstow at 6'8". He's only $190. He's long, thin, but he's a slasher. And as a freshman from Australia, he's really been trending up over the last 4 or 5 games. Get this, his sister Stephanie played here at Utah State. His brother Cam was an all-Mountain West player at New Mexico, graduated in 2014, and then was drafted by the Chicago Bulls.
Foul was on Tonje. That's his second. When I talked to Craig Smith a week ago at Boise State, he just said Bairstow is playing at a confidence level that the highest it has ever been, the freshman from Australia. That's the best thing that your coach can say about you in the month of January, isn't it?
Yeah, and by this time of year, oftentimes you can't call freshmen anymore. I mean, Bairstow, maybe because he didn't play as much as he has as of late, but you look at Colorado State, we talked about him, Isaiah Stevens, David Roddy. They've been playing huge minutes since day 1. And by now, they're basically sophomores with all the experience they have.
14-point lead for Utah State is their biggest of the game. Thistlewood got open for a three, and you can't leave him that wide open. He buries his first jumper of the game.
In the last couple of weeks, he's felt good after suffering a high ankle sprain versus Tulsa, but you see that catch and shoot. Pivot with that right foot, bring that left across.
42% on threes, almost 10 points a game for the sophomore from Golden, Colorado. And finally, the Rams have that 9-man rotation that Nico Medved was desiring to play for the longest time. That's going against Utah State, and so they'll turn it over to the Rams, and that will lead us to a break. Well, the Rams need a little bit of a run here. They just broke a 4-minute drought on that last three by Thistlewood. They still got some work to do. They're down 11 on the road with 7:45 to go here in the first half. A doubleheader on ESPN and the ESPN app, and Cole Anthony could be back for our first matchup. North Carolina takes on NC State in Raleigh at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we'll take you to Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma for number 3 Kansas and Oklahoma State. Saw Kansas after what happened earlier this week against Kansas State pick up a big win against Tennessee at home tonight. That challenge of the Big 12 versus the SEC.
Can you ever doubt Bill Self? I mean, how many conference regular season championships did they win in a row? 14?
Got a big break that they didn't eject everyone for fighting. Yeah. 2 of his guys, right? Or he would have had 3 subs playing in the game. He would have had to have a couple of football players, too. Colorado State needs a bucket. They just broke a 4-minute drought. They go inside to Carvacho, and they get it on cue.
Well, notice that they went into Carvacho immediately after Keita comes out of the game. Last year's Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, and now they're going to look to attack inside as much as they can.
By the way, if they have a big comeback, it's because you and I were on the Kiss Cam.
We were.
Boy, did we put on a show.
Indeed we did.
Yes, we did. As only Richie Schuler and Steve Quist can do. Brock Miller elevates for a 3 over Thistlewood, and all of a sudden the 3-point defense for the Rams getting much better. And a steal by Dorius.
See, now they're trying to force it inside. They're trying to force it down into Carvacho. And Utah State read that all the way for a steal.
Dorius has really emerged thanks to injuries to Keita and Karvosky, the 2 other big 7-footers on the roster earlier in the year. Merrill around the Dorius screen, shoots off of it, and hits the bucket.
And you see how versatile he is. And he's smart. He knows how to read a screen or a handoff to shake free for an open shot or a drive.
10 for Merrill in the early going on 4 of 5 shooting. I think every one of the buckets he's knocked down has been off of a screen. Here's Thistlewood into traffic, kind of forced that one up. Carvacho on the offensive glass has another opportunity and took an extra step. I do admire his fight underneath, though, to get a couple of offensive boards.
Yeah, I mean, he is making a lot of efforts, and that's been Carvacho all the way. Now, you see the pass by Stevens. That was picked off by Dorius. They went the other way and got a bucket there. But Carvacho, now watch, when you see him rebound, the best rebounder in this conference's history, watch, he always goes up with 2 hands. He goes, finds the ball, seeks it, and gets it. And I wish more young players would look to go up with 2 hands as well.
Lead was as big as 14. Here's Keita. Keita has 1 bucket, and he had to work hard to get it. Miller right into the middle of the teeth of the defense. Here's Bean with a right hand, keeping it away from the freshman Roddy.
Justin Bean turns and faces and attacks. And that's really what Utah State had offensively down inside before Keita came back for his knee injury. Keita is the one player who consistently goes with his back to the basket inside the paint for Utah State.
Colorado State won 12 games last year, 14 so far this year. 7 of them since mid-December. Roddy to Thistlewood. He's open long enough to bury it. They told us, you give that guy just a little bit of space and he's not going to miss.
He's got a pair of them now. And Colorado State has gotten some really good looks from behind the arc. They keep doing post to opposite wing passes. And they're bound to drop down some more as they haven't been shooting that well here in the first half.
Miller catch and shoot 3. Too long. Rebound run down by Martin. Megan Moore, rather. Moore puts it into another gear with a penetration, draws contact from Porter. And free throws are coming here at the 4:43 mark.
And that's what the Rams need to keep doing. They need to keep looking to push the ball in transition because they can get a full head of steam. Utah State's really good at setting up in their half-court defense, but if you have somebody going from full head of steam from beyond half court trying to get into the paint, it's hard to stop. And that's why Moore got fouled.
Second on Porter sends Moore to the free throw line. Diego Brito coming back in for Porter, who sits with the 2 fouls. Colorado State, you look at the numbers, they're not a terrific free throw shooting team on paper, but that's because of Carvacho, right? You take out his body of work at the free throw line, and the rest, the other cast of characters are pretty good. They're close to 80%.
That's a great point. Carvacho at 44%. He's taking 116 foul shots.
And going down. I mean, his freshman year, he was at 59%, improved to 61, 49 last year, 44 this year. Brito weaves his way around and lobs it up too high for Bean. They're getting a little too creative now. They turn it over, and the lead is 8 for Utah State. That's their 5th turnover, matching the number of turnovers that Colorado State has.
Well, let's see if Utah State goes back to doing a little bit more trapping in the post and taking away, or at least contesting some of these three-pointers. There's that little bit of space that Thistlewood had.
Roddy an offensive rebound, but he gets doubled.
There's the trap.
Freshman mistake, huh? Trying to go up over that?
Well, I just admire how Utah State is really trying to smother the post, and they're challenging Colorado State to pass out of that double team and take a contested three-point shot on the opposite wing or wherever it's passed to. Now, it's worked in Utah State's favor because Colorado State's not shooting the basketball great right now. But if the Rams can get off from behind the arc, I mean, they could be really dangerous in this game because they're getting a lot of looks with some time and space.
Merrill to Keita at the high post. Back to Merrill. He'll shoot it and miss, and Thistlewood has the rebound. Here come the Rams in transition, moving it. Stevens, the freshman. Wow, I think that was over 3 defenders.
Did you see the way he cocked it back to have a little more hang time to get his shot off? That's the pace of play Colorado State can be very successful in here in this game.
They paid him the ultimate compliment, did the Utah State coaching staff. They said he's got some Sam Merrill in him, this Isaiah Stevens, the freshman from Allen, Texas. Thistlewood on the steal. He had a man ahead that he didn't see. This freshman class has been outstanding. Carvacho to Roddy, who throws it down on the baseline. Timeout, Craig Smith. He's seen this before. It's a 4-point game. And that's going to take us to a break. 3:03 to go here in the first half. An important Mountain West Conference game for both teams.
Colorado State pushing the tempo of the ball, getting some layup opportunities, getting to the free throw line, and starting to knock down some three-point shots.
On ESPN, and the ESPN app features 2 of the top 8 teams of the nation. Number 5, Florida State, is in Charlottesville to take on Virginia at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then Pittsburgh squares off against Coach K and number 8 Duke at Cameron Indoor. Well, the Aggies spent a timeout because Colorado State's on a 9-0 run, and I know there was a game prior to us, and so we weren't able to really tell the whole story of Colorado State, but you obviously have Carvacho, but it's what the 2 freshmen have been doing over the last 8 games in Isaiah Stevens and David Roddy that's really raised eyebrows in the conference.
No doubt, 2 players that are going to be up for Mountain West Freshman of the Year. No question. They average a combined 30 points a game in conference play. Tonight, though, David Roddy, 4 points, get more, 2. So Utah State doing a good job on those players.
Roddy had the slam dunk on the baseline that caused Craig Smith to call the timeout. Roddy averaged 8.5 points his first 13 games. He's averaging almost 18 over this 8-game stretch and 7.5 boards. There's an offensive foul on Neemias Keita. And then for Stevens, his first 13 games of the season, 11 points a game. His last 8, 17 points a game, almost 6 assists. So think about that. Your 2 freshmen are scoring 35 points a game on average and doing a lot of the other little things too.
They've been on fire as of late, no question. And that foul on Keita, only his first just a moment ago, but it's important they keep him on the floor because when he goes out of the game, it changes the dimension of the game. And there's last year's Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, only averaging about a block this season coming off the injury, but last year, man, he was like 2.5 blocks a game.
That's his 8th block of the season, the 93rd of his career.
He's already in the top 5 in school history in blocks, and he's really good at just staying vertical, not bringing his hand down to foul.
And one of the narratives on him of late has been the fact that he's coming off the injury, right? But he's bulked up. That's going to be a shot clock violation on Stevens there, giving possession to Utah State.
And Coach Medved imploring to his freshmen, you've got to be smarter than that. You're the coach on the floor. You're the point guard. See the shot clock. And that almost happened one other time earlier in this half, too.
Yeah. So the narrative of Keita, there's talk about him getting slower on defense and the blocks going down because he's added 20 pounds of muscle as he gets the rebound there. But look, I was here today, and there's a travel against Utah State. I was here at 11:30 this morning. The kid was out shooting, and he had his shirt off, and he's ripped. It's 20 pounds of muscle, folks, and he's just learning in his second year, how to work his body with that extra 20 pounds.
It makes a difference. And to come off the injury, your legs aren't as strong, the fast twitch muscles aren't as there, you lose some of that quickness. He's still in early season shape, although we're deep in the heart of mid-season right now. You have conference play.
Third turnover for Keita, and there's a big three off the bench by Hiron Edwards. Averages 4 points a game, and all of a sudden, look at this score. Colorado State's almost all the way back from down 14. Miller got a good look there and gets the floater to go down. Brock Miller to the rescue right there, huh?
Yeah, and then we keep talking about Stevens, the point guard, with the basketball, the freshman, but Hiron Edwards that just hit that three just a moment ago can also play point guard. So you have two guys on the floor that can play the point guard spot, that are crafty with the ball, that can get inside the paint. That's where they have been successful, getting into the paint, kicking out for open threes.
Colorado State on a 12-2 run now the last 4 minutes, but an empty possession there. Carvaccio's 2 of 5 shooting, and Keita with a 4th turnover, Richie, in this first half.
And this is just lack of experience on the season for Keita. That's what this is.
And we were talking about he's likely in Thanksgiving shape right now as far as basketball shape's concerned. Well, doesn't have an ounce of fat on him.
Right, and he's a tremendous athlete. But when you get back into the flow of things, you're thinking a little bit too much, you're learning all the plays and whatnot. There's another double team. It takes away that athleticism. Anybody that's got to think too much early on until it becomes instinctual, they're going to think too much. Slows them down.
Off of Thistlewood, out of bounds with 41.5 seconds to go. Colorado State on that possession is trying to get back within 1. They're down 3 now. They've been down by as many as 14. Rams picked to finish 9th in the 11-team Mountain West Conference, while Utah State, sitting here at 4-4, was the overwhelming pick to win it all.
Unanimous.
And San Diego State's in the driver's seat right now, ranked 4th, net number 1 as Merrill misses. Keita offensive rebound, and he misses. Can't get it to go down. But boy, nice hops and getting up on that one.
He's got length.
We have about a half dozen NBA scouts sitting behind us. Probably like to see that. And that's going to go off of the freshman Isaiah Stevens. And so Utah State has it with 1.3 to go. Stevens is the Rams' leading scorer at 13 points a game. And he has just 2 here in the first half on 1 of 3 shooting.
Utah State's going to sub in some other 3-point shooters, taking Keita out. You don't want Keita to get a cheap foul. Bairstow.
Remember, he fouled out late with them up 18 points a week ago at Boise State, and they lost that game. Anderson lost the handle on it in a pretty terrific run by Colorado State to end the first half. They got down by as many as 14. Sam Merrill had 10 for Utah State in that first half, but as we go to the break, it's tight. Rams are within 3, and Colorado State has won 5 straight, 7 of their last 8. Halftime here in Logan, Utah, 3-point lead for the Aggies. Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. It's really difficult to try and score over that length right there. That's Nimi Keita with that big wingspan. 3-point game at the half in favor of Utah State. However, the Aggies did have a 14-point lead at one time. We won't remind the Aggie fans what happened a week ago in Boise, but you do have to give credit to Colorado State. They've won 5 straight coming into this game.
You have to, and for all the struggles they had shooting the ball early in the first half, they ended up shooting pretty well. 4 of 11, 36%, and they've won the battle of in the paint. which kind of dumbfounds me. And I think a lot of that's because of their penetration. And I think second chance points, Utah State only with 2. I think that's something they could really improve on to be even more competitive in this game.
Yeah, but they've done a nice job running the Utah State Aggies off that three-point line. Remember, they got 3 quick threes where you had the 2 early in the game by Sam Merrill, and then Miller got one, and they have had none since. Here's your first half stats. Anything stand out?
Well, basketball is a game of runs, and look at that right there at the bottom. 12-2 run to end the half, and that's what you see in basketball. One team gets on a run, the other team gets hot, and just go back and forth. Whoever sustains it the most out-rebounds the other team and doesn't turn the ball over and shoots at a high percentage. Those are the factors that win you a basketball game.
Red Hot Rams have the opening possession of the second half. Here's the freshman Stevens out to Thistlewood, who knocked down a pair of triples in the first half, and he's right back at it here in the second half to even this thing up.
Thistlewood has been the difference maker for Colorado State thus far.
You had mentioned he missed 3 games earlier this month with a bum wheel. That actually allowed guys like Roddy and Stevens to get a little more confidence. Or maybe it was a good thing.
Look at Colorado State electing to double team Bean down inside early here in the second.
Merrill needed that. Merrill's got 13.
Just like he started in the first half, knocking down a pair of threes, and boom, in the first minute knocks down another one. He's just so, you don't know if he's going to drive, if he's going to go off a screen or a handoff, or if he's just going to pull up from where he's at. He's got deadly range, and he can shoot off the bounce.
Thistlewood with 2 defenders in front of him. Are you kidding me?
Now, he's made some major strides from his freshman year to his sophomore this year. 7% body fat. He's improved his strength. You can see how strong he is now. He's thin, but he's lean. He didn't have that last year.
There's a foul, and that's on Carvaggio. That's going to be his first. Porter, Tanjay have 2 apiece as far as fouls are concerned for their respective teams.
It's 2 really fun matchups here. Carvaggio and Keita, and Roddy and Bean.
Yeah.
The 5s and the 4s here on the floor.
Carvaggio out to pick up Merrill, stops his penetration on the baseline. And Merrill off the handoff from Keita buries the 3.
He's outstanding.
4th 3 of the game to give him 16 points. Now 1,917 career points. 4th all time. And there's a foul on a 3. Merrill started the evening 100 points away from catching Wayne Estes. And there's a Wayne Estes basketball center right outside of the Spectrum. So Sam Merrill, if he passes him, he might get his own building here on campus, right?
Yeah, he might.
Sam Merrill study of Jello.
How much is he going to donate to get that building?
Right.
I like that Jello insertion. Everybody in Utah likes Jello, right?
Isn't it the state snack, for goodness sakes?
It's become the official state snack.
It is.
Something cultural about it.
Finally, a trip to the free throw line to cool off Thistlewood. Normally a 75% free throw shooter, and Diego Brito in for Miller.
Well, it's a big no-no to foul a shooter. And the reason he gets fouled, though, is because he's been an absolute fire. So there's so much attention gunning on him. You want to do your best to try to contest that three-point shot, and therefore they accidentally fouled him.
Yeah, foul was on Brock Miller. He's okay, though. That's his first. He's on the bench, and Porter brings it up. 1-point lead for Utah State. They were up 14 in the first half.
Well, look at the top right of your screen. Craig Smith still talking to Brock Miller. You know, he's still a sophomore. He's still young, trying to help educate him on what to do in those scenarios.
Porter to the low post. Bean, they gave him just enough room there to hit the baseline jumper.
Bean's another player who's extended his range. Now his three-point percentage is nothing to go home and brag about. He's 21%, but from what he was last year as a shooter, mid-range and three, to what he is this year is night and day.
He has a half dozen. Here's the freshman Roddy, who had 4 assists in the first half, looking for a 5th. There, another block by Keita. Carvaggio got it back, muscles it up, and scores it. That's a thing of beauty right there.
Well, there's 2 beautiful things there. Yeah, the defensive block by Keita, but just the fact that Roddy knew the double team was coming, and as a result saw an open Carvaggio down inside.
Carvaggio with a half dozen.
Katie doesn't know what to do with the basketball. Everybody's being guarded so well on the handoff. Look at that.
That's his 5th turnover of the game, partner. He had 4 in the first half.
Man, but Colorado State's defense to take away every handoff that Katie tried to pass off, like 3 of them. Look at this right here. Down inside, you talked about the block shot, but Carvacho not giving up, going right back up. And oftentimes it's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th efforts that get you buckets. Here comes a double team. Watch, it's going to come. Here it is. So Roddy's looking down inside to Carvacho, who gets left behind on it.
He split it. No travel call. Instead, he picks up contact.
Utah State is rotating well on those traps. They're going block-to-block trap, meaning if one post player gets the ball on one block, the big man defender guarding the opposite block is going to come over and trap, and somebody has to drop down and become the goaltender to take away the big man on the opposite block that was left behind. And Utah State's doing a good job of rotating, making it difficult for Colorado State to get clean looks down in the paint.
So here's Roddy, the fabulous freshman. He ties the game. He was a high school football quarterback. Look how big he is. With the big, I mean, he's got big legs. Mr. Athlete in the state of Minnesota, not just for one sport. He did so many things well. Recruited to be a tight end, defensive end, and turned down both Minnesota and Northwestern to play football. Decided to come here.
A lot of people are looking at him as an undersized Jordan Caroline, who's playing in the G League now for the South Bay Lakers, played in Nevada for 3 years.
And Roddy is just a freshman. I was watching him as a quarterback. He was in the North-South game in the state of Minnesota, and he had throws like a great as Bean goes inside, like Aaron Rodgers. Bean, count it.
Watch this right here. Bean goes middle, spins baseline, and has the athleticism. He's got great leg control. I mean, he has bounce, and he's got good footwork down inside, and he is just a warrior. Always energetic, always has effort, and because of that, he plays at a high clip. He's like a high motor at all times. He's able to get fouled for and ones.
So Roddy with a foul. What I was trying to say is he had throws like Aaron Rodgers, where like off his back foot with guys hitting him, 20 yards for a first down. It was a great piece of tape. Thistlewood catch and shoot too. Rebounded by Brito. Merrill to an open Porter, I mean wide open, and missed it. Rebounded by Thistlewood in transition. Here's the freshman Stevens. Got penetration, attacked the hoop, and got the bucket.
Colorado State's got to keep doing that. Win on transition offense. Use your speed to get inside the paint, whether it's in the full court or the half court.
There's the other fabulous freshman. It's been the freshman in their scoring that has led Colorado State to win 7 of their last 8 games. Freshman class is scoring almost 40% of the points for Colorado State. Porter inside to Bean for the bucket.
Beautiful pass by the junior point guard.
Freshman class actually scoring 44% of the points for Colorado State. 4 of them are in that 9-man rotation. Carvacho in the low post against Keita. The double team comes, and it got stripped away by Keita.
Keita is so pestering. He's not going to block your shot. He's going to alter your shot. And this is the best I've seen Keita play yet this season. And I've had a lot of Utah State games. Just watch how tenacious he is. Well, Abel Porter down inside the Bean. It's a great precision pass down inside. Utah State looking like they're back in control a little bit.
Special NBA Sunday matchup featuring Zion Williamson. He'll look to build on his first 2 games with his Pelicans teammates when they host Kemba and the Celtics at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Sam Merrill's having a Zion Williamson type night with all the points. He's scored 16 so far.
Doing a little bit differently though. He's hit 4 3-pointers. Zion's taking inside and slamming home and getting putbacks. But Sam with the step back 3, the step back mid-range, coming off handoffs for 3s, 1 dribble, 3-point shots, something Sam Merrill does really, really well. And just when they need it, seems like Sam Merrill always comes into the clutch.
Again, 4th all-time leading scorer now, approaching Wayne Estes, who is the Wayne Estes Basketball Center. So maybe there'll be a Sam Merrill Center here on the campus.
How much is it going to donate to the university?
Well, that's the thing.
Well, you know, more than likely at the end of this game, he's going to finish as the second all-time in minutes played in Utah State history. So they're certainly going to miss him at season's end.
He had 30 last week at Boise State, but he was ragged at the end of the game. I mean, he rarely came off the floor. Has 16 tonight. Still 15 minutes to go. Carvacho misses. You know, one thing we haven't seen yet is Carvacho at the free throw line yet in this game. That's probably a strategy Utah State can employ late in the game. Merrill, no. Bean on the offensive glass misses the second chance opportunity. Boy, both teams, and this is sort of a surprise, they only have 2 second chance points apiece, and Carvacho gets the basket and the foul, and we get our first look at him at the free throw line.
Remember what I told you earlier that when Keita's in foul trouble, Utah State's not the same. Against Boise State, he fouled out with about 3:37 to go, and that's when Boise State made the big run. I remember a game at Air Force. He got in foul trouble. They struggled. He's out of the game right now, and just like it was in the first half, when Keita came out of the game, Carvacho attacked the paint. Roddy attacked the paint. They try to post up more, and boom, right there. Keita comes out at the timeout. Carvacho gets an and one.
Might be the Rams' night on that and one play. Carvacho knocks down his first free throw of the night in one attempt, and the Rams have the lead. 45-44 on the road tonight as they look to win their 6th in a row. Anderson, the spin move, and gets it to fall. Alfonso Anderson, 9 points a game, 4 boards. Junior college transfer, and he puts the Aggies back out in front.
Now, Keita's not in foul trouble, but I believe he's still a bit of a minutes restriction. Yeah. He's still trying to work his body into shape.
Hey, there's Roddy, the body right there with the 2.
But when he's out of the game, they always have Bean Anderson playing out there. So you still have 2 big, strong guys, not as big as Keita, but big, strong guys that are pretty polished offensively and defensively.
That was our 6th lead change. Here's Bean against Carvacho, going low post, and a steal. Martin. This is Chris Martin out of Frisco, Texas, the Oral Roberts transfer. Carvacho got it back with that length, goes to work on Anderson and gets the floater.
With the right hand at that.
Yeah.
6'11" lefty going up with the right hand, and Craig Smith's seen enough. He's putting Keita back in the game.
Yeah, Anderson, that must have looked like a Greyhound bus coming right at Alfonso Anderson. No thanks on that. Bean against Carvacho. Brito, and Brito ties this thing back up.
Brito was really struggling from behind the arc and still not shooting quite at 30%, but he hit 3 of them against Air Force on Tuesday. A guy that's been playing that FIBA three-point line since he was 12 years old in Portugal.
6th time we've been tied. We've had 6 lead changes. Carvacho to the corner, elevating for 3 to give him back the lead. There was Martin, and he misses. Martin, a returning starter, now coming off the bench. Abel Porter into traffic, and he got hammered. Carvacho got him. If not, it might be Edwards. Let's see. Now they're going to call Carvacho.
Well, I like how Utah State having the opportunity to take it up. To drive it up and down the floor. Porter going strong. That's definitely a foul on Carvacho. You have to stay vertical. You have to have your hands up in the air, parallel, perpendicular to the floor.
Second on Carvacho. And a rare miss for Utah State. And Keita checks back into the game, and Bean will sit. Utah State is a team 76% from the free throw line, and they get there a bit, so it is a big sample size. Merrill also sitting here for a bit. That's what last Saturday night against Boise State, they ran out of energy. They had bussed all the way to Boise. It's like 4.5 hours. There was a delay because of the weather. They had 2 fire alarms at their hotel. Not making excuses for them, but I mean, they were run ragged and then had to go into overtime and then bus back. They got back here about 4 a.m. on Sunday morning.
That couldn't have been a pleasant bus ride after losing that big lead with 3.5 to go.
But they had the wherewithal to win in this building over Air Force on Tuesday night. Edwards got the offensive rebound, and Martin got a chance to reset, and this time knocks it down. 52-50, Colorado State.
They have come alive from behind the arc. They have done a good job of getting inside the paint.
And a blocking foul will be called there on Thistlewood. And that will take us to a break. Colorado State now out in front. A 2-point advantage for the Rams, who've won 5 straight, 7 of their last 8. They look up to the challenge tonight in Logan.
You didn't know, Steve mentioned it earlier, that Utah has an unofficial state food, and that is Jell-O. A lot of big families here, a lot of people that like Jell-O. This stuff is delicious. Steve, you like it?
I've never tried this stuff.
You've never tried it? You got to try this.
No idea what you're talking about.
You've never put this in your mouth
Not
before.
at all. Not at all.
You're missing out, man.
But a great
this is some delicious stuff. Here, let me give you some. You want some? Here, let me give you a little bite of yours. In case you haven't had it there. That's your first bite of Jell-O.
Ever.
And it's a very inexpensive food, and a lot of people here in Utah, they seem to really eat this up. I'm glad that you've enjoyed your first bite.
Those poor NBA scouts behind us right now are like, what did we get into on a Saturday night?
I'm going to ask them right now, would you guys like some Jell-O? I think they do want some Jell-O. Let's feed them. Let's spoon feed them behind us.
You have another napkin?
Yeah, here you go. I don't know why you had that all over your face.
Utah State has the basketball to start things. We had square dancing last week. We had Jell-O this week. Here's Anderson. He comes up short. Carvacho, great job on the defensive end. And in transition, a run out, and unable to finish was Edwards. That was a big missed opportunity, which might come back to bite the Rams as we get deeper into this one.
This is huge.
Yep, left open straight away and missed it. He'll normally make that. Oh, look at Alfonso Anderson on the offensive glass. He just paid for his scholarship right there.
The golden rule in rebounding is if you can't get the ball, at least get a piece of the ball and give your teammate an opportunity to pull it down. That's what happened on that last possession.
Kendall Moore is fouled.
And this is a critical moment for Utah State. They lost their lead. Colorado State, as we know, is red hot. They've won 5 games in a row. And Utah State has been working on finishing. That's been their message the last week since they blew the Boise State game.
Porter picked up his 3rd.
Here's the rebound. Look, Anderson gets a piece of it, gets it right back. I thought it was Keita that got a hand on it, but the replay shows that was all Anderson. And we know he can play big. I mean, we talked about the Jamaican Classic where he had 21 and a half a game. He was terrific, and he is really starting to feel comfortable from the beginning of this game, and it's continuing here into the second half.
Back-to-back fouls on the Aggies. 2nd on Porter, 3rd on Porter, 2nd on Keita, rather. That's going to be a short 3 by Moore, who's normally 42% on threes. Moore got his knee scoped in the offseason to repair a meniscus. Keita tried to grab the offensive board and had it stripped away. Keita all over the back of Edwards, leaves it for Thistlewood, in and out, and Keita cleans up the rebound.
So you see Colorado State, and they're taking quick shots. That's favored them, but the very headsy Sam Merrill recognizes the pace of play going to Colorado State's tempo, and he walks it up the floor.
We're tied for the 7th time. We've had 8 lead changes. And Keita is fouled just as he put the ball on the deck. And they're going to get a hold on Martin.
Well, they do this often, and Merrill does it quite a bit. They play a 2-man game between Merrill and Keita. He always dumps it down to the high post or maybe even the top of the key, gets it to Keita, and then he comes for a handoff. And it's hard to guard. I think that was Chris Martin for Colorado State that was trying to take away that handoff and fouled Merrill in the process.
And a steal on the inbound by Martin, and he's got a run out, and Anderson from behind with a big block. He paid for the other half of his scholarship right there. Wow. They're a gritty little bunch. There is a big crowd here at the Spectrum tonight, and they certainly appreciate that with an extended ovation. Almost halfway home in this second half. Carvacho one-on-one against Keita. Backing it in, 10 minutes to go, 15 to shoot. Carvacho with a double team coming, and that's great defense. And Anderson's a part of that, partner.
A big part of that. And I think Carvacho wanted a piece of Keita after Anderson's block here. And then Anderson goes and double teams Carvacho down inside and makes Carvacho take an ill-advised shot on the side of the backboard.
Edwards departs, Stevens comes back in, and Merrill back in inside of 10 minutes to go. Even at 52. Keita against Carvacho. And that's a 6th turnover by Nimi Keita.
He's frustrated. There's nobody more frustrated than Nimi Keita. And Craig Smith's on the sideline. He's frustrated, and it's not like you don't want to take Keita out of the game because the impact he has on both ends of the floor, but you just have to let him play through mistakes as he's trying to get back to the way he was a year ago.
Colorado State won for their last 8 from the field. The scoring drought is just over 3 minutes. Here's the freshman Stevens, and he draws contact from Merrill. That will not be a basket. He was fouled before he put the shot up. And the first on Sam Merrill. Team foul number 6.
We've got a knockdown, drag-out fight right now, and it's 2 different styles of play. Colorado State doing everything they can to push the tempo. Utah State trying to slow it down a little bit and beat you in the half court. And there it is, that one-on-one matchup of Carvacho and Keita.
This would be a big road win for the Rams. It'd be a quad 1 win as it stands. Martin misses, although it'd probably knock Utah State if they lose at home out of the quad 1 range and hurt a few teams. And on the drive, there's a foul. By the way, did you see, last time I checked, Nevada was up almost 30 points on New Mexico.
Well, New Mexico, Paul Weir has his hands full right now. They lost 2 starters, 40% of their offense. Carlton Bragg, big man inside who can block shots, rebound, and score. Terrific player. Transfer from Kansas and Arizona State. Yeah. And J.J. Caldwell, the point guard transfer from Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken.
Merrill, it just looks so free and easy, huh?
Yeah, it does.
He should be doing like a shampoo commercial or something.
Yeah, Caldwell's not the Ohio State transfer, but Caldwell came in from Texas A&M. And those 2 have been a big blow to New Mexico's, not just the ability of players they have on the floor, but I think their psyche.
They got a foul on Colorado State. Carvacho fighting against Keita. That's the 3rd on Nico Carvacho. Team foul number 7, so we're going to have 1-1 on the other end. 8:27 to go, 54-52 Utah State. I bring up the New Mexico thing because, San Diego State sitting there unbeaten in the conference, net number 1. 4th in the country, and they go to UNLV tomorrow for a road game, and then New Mexico midweek next week. So it's going to be a big little spurt here for San Diego State. Two tough road games.
I think she dyes her hair.
She goes the same place that Merrill goes. A little barber shop there on Harrison Boulevard or whatever it is. Keita converts 1 of 2. Still a 1-possession game. Roddy against Bean, backing in.
He's expecting that double team, and there it is.
And he got the shot up, got it blocked by Keita on the second chance opportunity, and it's going to be Aggie basketball.
Look at Keita's energy. Look how excited he is. He got the block shot, but his team got the ball back.
I mean, he might have 6 turnovers, but he is doing a few things well.
That's why you keep him in the game.
Yeah.
Look at that block shot. It's terrific. He's got length and he's got timing, and there's a lot of players who are tall but can't block shots. You have to have some instinctual timing to be able to do that. He's terrific at it.
Merrill, free throw line, jumper's good. Free and easy, Merrill's got 20. Rams need a timeout. Let's show you Keita on the defensive end.
The double team gets a piece of the rebound, but then it gets a piece of the ball. It's Utah State ball. They're back in control here in the second half.
ESPN and the ESPN app, and Cole Anthony could be back for our first matchup North Carolina takes on NC State in Raleigh at 7 Eastern. Then we'll take you to Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma for number 3 Kansas and Oklahoma State. Here inside the Spectrum in Logan, Utah, Steve Quist, Richie Schuler with you. And every time we get together, it's like must-see TV, right? I mean,
totally. Why wouldn't it be?
Last week at Boise State, where the Broncos came back from down 18 in the final 3:37 to force overtime and win. And got a heavyweight battle going on in the Mountain West Conference here tonight.
But honestly, at that Boise State game, I think the must-see TV part was the square dancing.
Sure.
That we did. It's the official state dance of Idaho. And then here in Utah, the official snack of Utah is Jell-O. And so we got a bite of that. So I thought that's what you were talking about.
Stevens missed a tough 2. Now my hand is sticking to the box score. Merrill drives in. He got it blocked by Carvacho out of bounds.
And that's a great block because Carvacho went straight up in the air. I think he got 2 hands on that ball.
Yep, made sure Merrill didn't get points, 21 and 22 and maybe 23 at the line. Breaking the action, it's the media timeout, 7:18 to go in regulation. Utah State by 5. This versus Cancer Week throughout college basketball, and coaches wearing sneakers, as you see, whether it's Nico Medved or Craig Smith on the other sideline, or bench, if you will. And earlier this week, Colorado State did a neat thing. They played in their game over Fresno State in Jersey. Well, first of all, they went out right to local hospital and visited some cancer patients, but also, my understanding is, played the game against Fresno State, and on the backs of their jerseys had names of cancer survivors or those that are fighting cancer.
Special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to bring awareness to cancer. And it's something they do every year. It's 1 week a year. So in those games that you have, usually you have 2 games in that week. That's what you do.
Yep, eradicate that awful, awful illness. They're a little more lockstep right there at Utah State. I didn't see any of those $4,000 Yeezys, though. Have you ever seen those things?
$4,000?
I saw a pair down in like Soho in Manhattan. A teenager came in and bought them. I thought, man, what am I doing wrong in my life?
$4,000?
$4,000.
Sure it wasn't $400.
No, it's $4,000. Foul there. Thistlewood is third. Porter to the line for 1-1. Gets the first. 58-52. Utah State starting to pull away. In this game, we've had 9 lead changes. We've been tied 7 times. Porter made 1 of 2. This is about as comfortable a lead as Utah State's had here since midway through the first half.
Well, if you remember how well Colorado State finished the first half, I'm sure they have another run in them. 12-2 run to finish the first.
That's big by Thistlewood. He missed. Hasn't missed too many of those tonight. Thistlewood is 4 of 8 shooting threes.
Look at the way they move the ball around the perimeter and then get the ball back down inside the post. Did a full circle.
That one's knocked away. Burrito got it back. Still plenty of time to shoot. Remember, 16.5 assists a game for Utah State. Burrito and Carvacho with another block. Now there'll be 7 to go on the shot clock, and Utah State keeps possession.
Colorado State, what they want to do here is avoid that right there. Don't allow somebody to drive here at the end of the shot clock. Make them take a contested three-point shot.
Merrill just barely gets it into Keita, who gets it back to Merrill, and he makes the 3. That's his 5th triple of the game.
Most dangerous player on the floor on an inbounds play is the person who inbounded it. That was Sam Merrill.
He's got 23. Utah State has a 9-point lead. Roddy going to take a big 3. Missed it, and Keita with the rebound.
Probably a bit of a rush three-pointer. I think you'd start to panic a little bit. You see the score. You see the time clicking down. I'm sure of it that Coach Nico Medved would have never had a more high percentage.
Oh, look at Keita. Slip the screen and throw it down, big fella.
The backboard is still shaking.
Hey, what do you think of your Aggies?
You can't draw that up any better, partner. And Keita now has 5.7 rebounds, 5 assists to go along with those 6 turnovers.
Well, look how well he finishes. Look at the pass by Sam Merrill, and then it's putting your teammates in a position to succeed. Get the ball where he can be effective, drop step, slam it home down the middle of the paint.
Well, after Colorado State took a 52-50 lead, Utah State has run off the last 13 in a row. So they're on a 13-0 run, and the Rams have not scored in 6-16. I think BYU today got blitzed by San Francisco with a 21-0 run, and it was something like 13 minutes without a point for BYU.
San Francisco's been really good the last few years.
I think some Aggie fans will be happy I brought that up, huh? Stevens, good crossover dribble, and he draws contact. Merrill with the foul.
You know, I wasn't even really looking at the ball on there. I was looking at Keita. How well he got off the floor. 2 weeks ago, I didn't feel like he was getting off the floor that fast or that high. I mean, I think he's finally got his legs underneath him where he's feeling good. And this is why, and I've told people, I think Utah State, of all the teams that are behind San Diego State and have a realistic chance, we saw the standings earlier, of being second place in regular season. And Utah State has a few teams, 2 or 3 teams ahead of them. But at 4-4 in the league right now, I do believe that they might have the best chance of being that team to get second place, because I think they finally have all their pieces together. They're finally healthy. They learned a tough lesson at Boise State, and I think they've improved off of that. And honestly, I think they're going to be very dangerous the second half of conference play.
Merrill, how'd he get through there? I mean, that's the definition of knifing through the defense. 25 for Sam Merrill. He might catch Wayne Estes in this game. And Carvazzo can't handle the pass from Stevens. Now it's starting to slip away here from Colorado State. A team that, by the way, will charter home. They chartered over into Logan. There are not a lot of teams that do that, that can find a plane that can get in and out of Logan Airport, so they'll be home tonight.
This Colorado State team's young and old. They play 4 people that are freshmen in their top 9. And then they have 3 players that are seniors.
Bean off the window.
So if you're Utah State, you've got to keep that theme of finishing, something they've been preaching for a week now, finishing games. But if you're Colorado State, especially with all the young players, this is a teaching moment. You're in a hostile atmosphere with a good team that you're going to have to steady the ship, regain some momentum, and try to make a run the last 4.5 minutes.
Justin Bean got called for that one. That's his second. 13-point lead, 4:34 to go. Remember, last week at Boise State, it was 66-48 Utah State with 4:10 to go. It was that same score with 3:37 to go. And somehow, Boise State won the game. Now, Ray J. Dennis has already played his game for Boise State over Fresno State, and the Broncos won, so he's not in the building. Carvaccio makes 1 of 2. He's 2 of 3 at the free throw line. Well, they're within 12 here, but running out of time. Merrill with 25 into the front court. Reigning Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. Started the year on the wooden watch list. Malachi Flynn of San Diego State has taken his place at the halfway point, but Merrill trying to play his way back on it. And he's going to have an assist there to Keita. Man, they're starting. They're in sync now, huh?
How many times have we seen Merrill and Keita feed off each other? I mean, you could probably count
and in clutch time
15 times this game where they have fed off each other. It's hard to guard 2 great players. Which one are you going to cheat off of?
Yeah, here's Roddy, and Roddy somehow got it back, and he's fouled, score the bucket. Yeah, I think we at one point saw where the chemistry maybe was a little off for the Aggies, but it looks like it's back in check right now. Utah State has a 12-point advantage here. Merrill feeding Keita for the dunk. And the Aggies trying to pick up a 5th Mountain West Conference win here on Saturday night in Logan. With John Anderson and Kenny Mayne, they'll have highlights reaction from Philly with LeBron looking to pass Kobe Bryant for 3rd place on the all-time scoring list. plus coverage of Tigers' third round at Torrey Pines, and all the biggest moments from UFC Fight Night. Sports Center, midnight Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Steve Quist, Richie Schuler back with you inside the Spectrum here in Logan, Utah. Aggies with a 12-point lead with 3:47 to go, but I think I said the same statement last week. I think it was Aggies with an 18-point lead with 3:47 to go at Boise, and I hate to keep reminding you, but the Aggies lost in overtime to the Broncos. And here's Roddy trying to complete a three-point play and cut into the deficit further.
If you're Utah State and you're Craig Smith, you're saying in that huddle of the timeout, guys, we got to finish. We got to run through the finish line. Don't let up. Remember Boise? Don't let that happen again. And I think that's going to win them some games this year. I really do. They're going to push through because they're never going to want to have that feeling again.
Rams lost a 17-point lead earlier in the year in a bye game against Arkansas State. When I talked to Nico Medved before the ball game, he said that really built us to where we are now. It took a while to get over it. We had to get a little more cohesive. Bean to Keita, and Keita's fouled by Stevens. That was a big mismatch, and nothing Stevens could do.
Well, what NBA scouts are looking at, when Bean hits Keita with that pass, they want him to be able to control that pass. Every big man has to be showing his fingertips at all times because you never know when a pass is going to come. You don't want it to hit your knuckle or go off the side of your hand. Catch that ball and be able to finish with speed and quickness, because in the NBA, he's not going to get fouled there. He's going to get a shot blocked.
Makes the front end of a big 1-and-1. Last year, he was a 56% free throw shooter. This year, he's at 73%. And he's made 2 of 3 in this game.
And he's 100% from 3, which he hit a 1-for-1 last game. And the great thing about Keita is I know NBA scouts wanted him to develop a deeper shot. He has. He's got a more consistent mid-range shot.
We saw it last week at Boise. He had a couple of nice mid-range shots.
He can knock down threes. We've seen that.
Oh, Stevens tried to pass it to Carvacho instead of taking the shot. Another Rams turnover, their 10th of the game. And that's big right there at the 3:09 mark.
And Utah State here in the second half, I thought they shot well in the first half at 50%. They're 65% from the field here in the second half, and 4 of 6 from 3 for 67%.
Merrill's led the charge, 25 points on 10 of 15 shooting. He's made 5 threes. They'll eat up some of the clock, something they didn't do against Boise. They shot a couple of times late in the game. Merrill, and he's going to get fouled from beyond the arc. How about that? With 3 to go on the shot clock, you bail him out with the contact.
You would rather just contest that shot. Yeah. Take your chances that it's going to miss and get you a long rebound.
Instead, you put a guy that's shooting 88% at the free throw line. His first trip here tonight. 3 free throws here for Merrill.
Everybody's getting 2 foul shots from here on out. If I'm Colorado State, I am pushing the basketball. I'm trying to get into the paint. I'm trying to get fouls in route. But you've got to start hitting some three-point shots again, and that's an area they've struggled here in the second half.
See at the bottom of your screen, 3,936 career minutes for Sam Merrill. Second all-time in program history.
What an impact he's had here in Utah State's rich basketball history.
Ask me who's played the most minutes. No, don't yet. No, you can do it now.
Okay, who's played the most minutes?
J.C. Carroll. Carvacho with a floater in the lane.
Well, the next question is, can Sam Merrill catch Mr. Carroll?
He's at 4,596 minutes. Oh, don't make me do math here. I'm Pac-12 educated from the Pac-12 South.
The Conference of Champions.
Bill Walton's
as Mr. Bill Walton said. Maybe not math champions.
It was not on the mathletes. Porter drives in to Keita, and Keita just flings it up, and it falls. Like he was flicking a cigarette butt away.
Right.
Inside of 2 minutes to go, 16-point lead. Keita with 10 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 turnovers, and at least 2 blocks.
Got to hit that.
Yep, Moore can't get it. And Roddy the rebound. He goes up with authority. Carvacho, and that rebound knocked away. Carvacho's a rebound away from a double-double. He's got 14 points, 9 rebounds.
time is on your side if you're Utah State. And now you use clock. I mean, 10-second mark. Look, here comes the ball screen, and they go to work with their motion, and that's an illegal screen.
On Diego Brito. He had the big turnover at the end of the game last week when Dennis came down, shot the three. Remember, they were down, was Boise State, 5 points with 7 seconds left. Dennis made the three, and then on the inbound, Jessup stole it. It was thrown in by Brito. And then we went to overtime. Great move by Stevens.
Oh,
boy,
wow.
He's a flashy little point guard.
Yeah.
Huh?
He is crafty, quick. I think you got to start pressing if you're Colorado State.
Just maturity beyond his years, says his head coach, Nico Medved, on Isaiah Stevens. And we already talked, he's got a little Sam Merrill in him.
Well, Colorado State's not going to foul. They're going to play this out. But still, 10-second mark. Here comes Keita. And I think Utah State is the most difficult to guard when their sets are over with and they're just playing motion offense.
Brito runs the baseline and scores it.
Assist Sam Merrill.
Sam Merrill with another assist. Stevens. Bean keeps it alive, and that should about do it. Utah State's going to be 16-6 overall, 5-4 in the conference, and the Rams' 5-game winning streak is just about over. They'll drop to 5-4 in the conference, and there'll be a log jam in second place.
Valiant effort by Colorado State. This young team has emerged as one of the up-and-coming teams in the Mountain West. But Utah State, they had some hiccups this season, but now they've got over that 500 mark in conference play. And Utah State has all their pieces together. I think they're for real. And maybe the best team to knock off San Diego State down the stretch of season and into the conference tournament.
That game will be at Viejas Arena on February the 1st. Merrill with 28, made 5 threes. Bean had 13, 9 rebounds. Keita with 10 points. And Joey Brackett sent out his brackets this week. Actually this morning, right? He has the Aztecs as the #1 seed, but no other Mountain West Conference team anywhere on a line. And perhaps Utah State, when it's all said and done, will play themselves back into the postseason discussion for the NCAA tournament.
It's possible, and it wouldn't surprise me if Utah State made a very strong run in conference tournament play, but they're going to have to win a lot of games to get back into that at-large conversation.
They are back to a quad 1 team. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight. For my partner, Richie Schuler, and our great folks in our ESPN truck outside, I'm Steve Quist bidding you farewell from Logan, Utah, where the Aggies get it done at home, ending Colorado State's 5-game winning streak. ESPN's exclusive college basketball presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots, energy on the go.